Future Fest, that's for sure. I mean, I was looking through the list of topics. Almost everybody's talking about blockchain. If they're not talking about blockchain, they're talking about putting their things on blockchain. I've been sitting here in the hall for quite a while, and everybody wants to focus on Web3. AI is very 2023, crypto is back. And to discuss how crypto is going to move forward in Pakistan and in the wider arena, we have the pleasure of two luminaries of Web3. We have with us on my right side Farrukh Kiani, who's a seasoned marketing maestro with over a decade of experience in key positions at leading multinational companies. His expertise spans PR, blockchain ecosystems, community development, marketing communications, consulting, and strategic partnerships. Beyond his corporate prowess, Farooq is a dedicated blockchain enthusiast, trader, and mentor. His passion for transformative potential of blockchain technology led him to play a crucial role in Pakistan's first digital currency as a top-tier central exchange. He's from KuCoin, by the way. A round of applause for him, please.
Thanks, everyone.
And then we have William Phelps, all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, who is an investment manager at Adaverse, Ada as in Cardano's ADA, Adaverse, based in Saudi Arabia and Nigeria. He has overseen investments from source of close to 50 Web3 startups across 10 Middle Eastern countries with a focus on B2C use cases and project tokenization. He has been involved in the development of Africa's first Web3 accelerator, taking 16 companies through a token-focused program. Now he's focusing on Saudi Arabia and the establishment of the kingdom's first blockchain venture builder. Prior to entering the Web3 space, he has worked in equity derivatives in London after graduating from Cambridge in 2020. We know this is going to be absolutely amazing. So my first question is to you, Faro. We'll start off with a simpler question. We see that Pakistan is one of those few countries which have extremely high crypto adoption. Why do you think Pakistanis are so keen on dabbling in cryptocurrency?
All right, so I'm going to Assalamu alaikum everyone and good evening. So I'm going to dive into two important facts here. In 2022 and in 2023, if you look at the data, Pakistan, as per the chain analysis report, is on number 8 position as per the crypto adoption index. We actually dropped down few numbers as compared to the data which was in 2021, which is very obvious because we have seen a lot of inflation and a lot of turmoil in the country and everything. Obviously, this puts Pakistan down to a few numbers, but I think we are still in the top 10. This is something plausible, I guess. We have done a survey in 2023 where we have compared the data of 2021 versus 2023, and we have seen that in 2022, the adoption was around 4% in Pakistan, which grew by around 17% by the end of 2023. In another study that we mandated to a very big research firm here in Pakistan, we came to know that people have a very optimistic outlook about cryptocurrency because if you remember the internet era, a lot of people have actually missed it and they later on regretted about missing it. And we thought that people will answer this as that they just want to get rich quick or something like that. But we were shocked to see the result that people wanted to be the part of the future. Now, the most important thing is people here, even all the adults and generation Z, generation Y, they believe that this is going to be the part of future. 69% people, they said that they want to get into crypto because they want to be part of the future. They want their transactions to be more seamless. And around 37% of people have already invested more than $1,000 in cryptocurrency.
That's fantastic. So, just whilst we're talking about crypto adoption, William, you come from a company that works in Africa, Europe, Asia, all over the place, really. And there are a lot of portfolio companies on your VC's list as well. I would like to understand which Web3 areas are you seeing the maximum growth potential in for 2024? Like, what can we expect this year?
Oh, I think it's a great question because if we look at the market at large, we are hopefully moving towards more favorable conditions and more of a bull run hopefully in 2024, leading into 2025. But I think in answering where the next trends are going to be and really where the big revenue drivers are, it's important to differentiate, in my opinion, between, say, the US and Europe and more emerging Web3 markets. And the reason I say that is, I guess, exemplified by Pakistan, insofar as one of the greatest use cases here, I understand, is hedging against currency devaluation. And I think it's very similar in parts of the Middle East, not necessarily when it comes to currency, but, for example, money transfers. We look at Africa, it's a similar story. It's credit-based. It's about really basic pain points in existing legacy systems. And whether it's payments, whether it's money transfer, whether it's credit, these are services that everyone needs, notwithstanding where the market is, but of course helped by a good market. So in terms of looking to future trends, I think key pain points, key value adds, and key service provision is really what I would aim for. So distilling that down, we've already mentioned finance and fintech. Everyone needs to send money, spend money, and receive money. Similarly, we look at, I guess, more primary and secondary sector use cases. For example, links to supply chain, commodities, agri-tech, for example. And the reason I look at these is, as I've mentioned, these are basic services. So notwithstanding the price of Bitcoin or the price of Ethereum, they will always be in demand. And it then just becomes a question of, I guess, going to market with them and really integrating the Web3 aspects in a way that the average consumer is able to use and understand. So I've probably not been as specific as some would have liked, but what I would say in terms of upcoming trends, in light of the bull market, but notwithstanding the bull market, are those basic pain points and basic service provisions.
Fantastic. And I'll just sort of put a carry-on question from what I'd previously asked, because you have varied experience across a bunch of jurisdictions, bunch of areas. What are the key differences that you notice between the ecosystems of the Web3 ecosystems of Asia, of Europe, Africa, and any other place that you've seen, Middle East in this particular case?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe I'm slightly biased because, again, my interest in Web3 really comes down to these use cases and solving existing pain points. But key differences I've noticed, I think, are very closely linked to consumer trends, consumer preferences, and, for example, purchasing power within each market. And that obviously is diverse within continents as well. So, for example, within West Africa, we see a greater preference towards money sending, money changing, basic financial services. In East Africa, where there's historically more of a culture of credit, we see a greater use cases and uptake of lending products within Web3, for example. And then in the Middle East, so Saudi Arabia in particular, where purchasing power is much higher and it's a more, let's say, entertainment-focused consumer base, much younger population, we see more cosmetic products. So almost every Saudi Web3 startup has NFTs integrated in one way or another. And then I guess finishing with Pakistan, a market that I'm yet less experienced in, but keen to learn more. We, at least from what I've observed, there's a far greater tech basis, a far greater tech literacy amongst many founders, and I think amongst many consumers. And so, although maybe Web3 in Pakistan is at an earlier stage than other markets, I think there's great potential, to actually build, I would say, more innovative solutions for the mass market.
This is absolutely fascinating. Farrukh, I have a question for you. What kind of projects is KuCoin doing in Pakistan? Have you funded any project, and what is the sort of future that you're seeing here in Pakistan for KuCoin?
Thank you so much, Safi. That's a very, very beautiful question, I would say. Now, there are two parts to this particular question. So I often get emails and, I get to meet a lot of people coming to me and asking to list their projects. So I tell them very clearly that listing is not something that we usually do like that. Because if your project doesn't have a long-term use and it doesn't have a practical use in reality, and if it does not serve a user base, we won't be able to list your projects. We have a very stringent, token or project listing criteria, and there are a lot of steps that you need to follow. And just not only the step, we also have a lot of stringent processes where you have to meet with our listing teams and then coop up and comply with all the requirements that we usually look into. The number two part of this question is about the projects. So yes, KuCoin has been actively involved in global ecosystem development because we believe that this is something that we usually give back to the society. In this particular instance, we have supported Tone ecosystem. So many of you know about the Tone. On the Bitcoin ecosystem, we have supported OOF project. We have supported Dovi, Base, Zupia, and some other projects. In Pakistan, we have recently supported a project. They came to me last year in 2023, and the project is actually renewable subscription from your crypto wallet. And we have funded that project, and those guys are really doing well. They are from this city Lahore, and we have funded them with around $1 million. They have got a round of around $300,000 already. They have got that round. So this is something that we are doing, and we are focusing on the long-term projects that could really change the real-world issues in terms of blockchain. Apart from that, we have recently started KuCoin campus program, where we would like to collaborate with different institutions, no matter universities or even if these are governmental institutions. We are open to that, where students such as yourself can become part of our campus program. They can become our affiliate, and they can not only earn something from us, but they can also get some real life training from our developers and the management team.
This is fantastic. So wake up Lahoris. KuCoin has just funded a Lahori startup with $1 million, and he's talking about how more money can be spent here. So that's just fantastic. William, I am a Cardano enthusiast. Cardano is the first cryptocurrency I ever bought, and this was done because I'm a lawyer myself. I studied all the white papers. I thought Cardano was the best. However, Cardano hasn't performed quite as well. I haven't made a lot of money from that initial investment that I made. And I really want to ask you, what's going on with Cardano? Firstly, what are the advantages of building with Cardano? And secondly, can we expect Cardano to 5x this year?
You should say, do your own research.
I couldn't possibly advise or recommend. But it's funny because whenever people come to me, and they often do, and say, "Oh, I own Cardano, I bought Cardano," my first response is always, "Oh, I'm very sorry to hear," because sadly, it's not performed as well as I believe it should have done in recent years. And I think that's really the crux of the issue, because the benefit on paper of Cardano is the proof system it employs on chain is incredibly intelligent. It's driven by academic research and very high level cryptography. It's extremely accessible when it comes to, for example, network participation, looking at, for example, node provision. So at a purely technical level, it is moving towards what I believe to be sort of the perfect blockchain. The problem that I think Cardano has faced in particularly the last year is application. It's bridging that gap between sort of academia and cryptographic development and practical use cases. So if we look at competitors, so Solana, Celo, really I'd say mass market orientated chains that most importantly are EVM compatible, we see far greater use cases, we see far more companies building on them. And as a result, Cardano is at the moment doing less well. So I think what needs to happen, and I believe will happen this year, is not only EVM compatibility as a starting point, but those greater consumer use cases that we've seen with other comparable competitor chains. And really, I think as part of that, trying to transform what is, as mentioned on paper, very close to being a perfect blockchain into something which is actually usable at a practical level. And I think that's a general point I'd make about crypto at large and Web3 at large, which is, for any founder, how you bridge the gap from what is a pretty impenetrable academic technology to being something that actually has tangible value adds to a consumer. So hoping to see that from Cardano, EVM compatibility to begin with, but it's an ongoing struggle.
Thank you so much. All right, Farooq, so I'd like to understand something. You're a Pakistani, and KuCoin's one of the top 5 global exchanges now. And I just want to get your take on what advice you would give Pakistani startups who are looking to enter into, let's say, funding programs for KuCoin. And if not that, just generally how they should orient themselves for further growth towards an international market. Because you yourself have gone from Pakistan all the way to the UAE, and you're looking at multiple markets now, Pakistan and India. So what advice would you give to our youngsters here?
I mean, if you look at the startup ecosystem from last 5-6 years in Pakistan, not the blockchain one, overall, you would see that overestimation is something that actually lets all the startups getting to a halt. We have seen a lot of startups getting failed because of the overestimation that they have shown to the VCs and the founding members. The most important thing is, when you are into a startup, no matter it's a blockchain, look at the long-term sustainability, first of all. Number two, as a KuCoin, we really don't want to compromise our users' safety and their benefits. So it's more important for us that the project that you are building is actually changing or uh, doing a real life changing stuff that is actually creating a real change in the blockchain world and have a practical use, because if it doesn't have a practical use, it will eventually phased out. So I think this is the most important thing that I would like to advise for the startups, no matter blockchain or any other.
Absolutely. Thank you. Similar question for you, William. What is the secret sauce that you're looking for when it comes to founders? Because I'm sure as an investment manager here, you look at a variety of founders who have a whole bunch of pitches. What distinguishes good founders from bad founders? What makes you select the ones that you want to go with?
I think fundamentally I say it's moving with purpose, building with purpose, executing with purpose, and fundraising with purpose. So what I mean by that really is what, as a founder, are you actually building and who are you building it for? I think when companies, particularly startups, have a specific pain problem in mind, a specific issue they're trying to solve, the rest follows far more easily, insofar as it's much easier then to execute, to identify your target market, and to develop a curated, bespoke product almost for that market. The issue I've seen with a lot of founders, particularly those who are new to Web3, is they see there are so many angles to it. There's the cryptocurrency, there's NFTs, there's smart contract infrastructure, and they try and do all at once. And suddenly what should be a very simple solution for even a complex problem becomes a very complex solution for no identifiable goal in mind. So I think it's very important to know what you're building, why you're building, and then as a final point as well, when it comes to investment and fundraising, knowing exactly how or indeed who you're fundraising from. So let's say you're looking at tokens, you're looking at cryptocurrency. Look for investors that specialize in that give you strategic partnership. And with that, I think this sort of purposeful movement, again, the whole process becomes easier from founding to hopefully acquisition or exit as a founder.
All right. And so I have an interesting question. I just, once I was on the backstage, found out that Farrukh is in charge of Pakistan and India both for KuCoin. So, Farrukh, from your experience, what is the difference that you're noticing between the Pakistani market and the Indian market?
I mean, I think there's not much difference, but I would say that Indian market is more complex in a sense that there are a lot of, although from the outside it looks like the government has accepted it and lots of things are going really well, but overall the market is not really in a good shape because they have imposed a lot of taxations, a 30% tax on the withdrawals and 1% tax if you are submitting something. So looking at this condition, we have seen that a lot of decline in the growth overall from the Indian region. And just recently, I think Indian government has banned few apps as well, but they are letting some apps to work. They are trying to build their own CBDCs, and I think that's a commendable effort that they are doing because this is the right direction. See, what I always say, that you can set your direction in one night, but you cannot get your destination in one night. So I think they are like moving forward to the right direction. The banning thing, I never liked the banning culture. The banning thing is it's temporary. It will be solved soon. But the thing is, the government is making right efforts in the right direction, and I guess we need the same sort of efforts here in Pakistan as well.
Right. Thank you. Now, William, something that we often mistake is looking at crypto only as a financial product. When it comes to Cardano, could you give examples of projects that you've worked on that are non-financial in their nature and how they could be applicable in our, maybe give us use cases of how they're applicable in our day-to-day life?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the initial point about conflating cryptocurrency and tokens with financial products is a really important one, because there are so many use cases outside simply exchange of value. So utility tokens, for example, to grow communities, governance tokens to incentivize community participation, are all extremely important. So looking at our portfolio, there's two examples that really come to mind. The first of which is actually a Saudi company, and I'm aware that they've been exhibiting here today, called Takadao, which is promoting, and they've developed Sharia-compliant insurance pools based on well, not only blockchain, but in particular tokens. The idea being that when you deposit into these pools, your funds are staked, and subsequently you earn TACA tokens, which give you discounts on future pools and participations, but also voting rights and the ability to, I guess, exercise governance over how these insurance pools are spent and where payout happens, which is, again, a fantastic and totally, I think, logical use case, which is made a lot easier and is globalized, really, by putting it on-chain. And just a final example as well, I mean, it's less token-related, but is more actually in the direction of NFTs, is a company called Moment in South Africa. South Africa has grid problems and load shedding, so the government is really pushing renewable energy solutions. Moment have tokenized solar cells, which consumers can invest in. They raise money for private solar installations, and then the users receive dividends backed by the South African government of excess energy generated, which, although not tokens per se, is another great example of how a seemingly purely speculative Web3 technology can be used to actually generate tangible good. So yeah, just a couple of examples there.
Well, I guess that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for being with us, William. Thank you for being with us, Farooq. It's been an absolute pleasure. So I hope that we can continue these conversations just backstage, and we'll keep chatting. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.